Welcome back to my sweet world. For our first episode, I thought we could look at what is cocoa. Now, I promise you, I'm not going to bore you or lecture you with botanical definitions and Latin words, but I do really believe that in order to truly understand and feel what cocoa is, we need to have a very strong understanding of cocoa from a historical perspective, from a geographical perspective, from a cultural perspective. So if this is something that's of interest to you, please like, share, comment, and watch till the very end. Now, to begin, I'll address a question I get asked all the time, which is it cocoa or cacao? And the answer to that is very simple. It's both. It's cocoa and it's cacao. Cocoa is a more anglicized pronunciation, and cacao is a pronunciation that is closest to the native languages of Mesoamerica and also the French and Spanish pronunciations. So if you hear someone calling it cacao, just know that it's one of two things. Number one, they are using a pronunciation that is more comfortable for them, that's closest to their natural language. And that's amazing, that's perfect. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's even great. Or option number two, they are being pretentious. Some people present cacao as some sort of premium version of cocoa, less processed or based on the origin of the bean, like they are giving you Cocoa Ultra Plus or something like that. No, it's not. So please do not fall for deceptive food labeling practices. Cocoa and cacao mean the same thing. It's not a mark of quality. It's not a mark of how it was processed. It just means the same thing. So if you hear me using cocoa, I'm talking about what some people would call cacao. It's the same thing. Now, with that out of the way, let's really look at cocoa from a historical perspective. And to really understand cocoa's history, we have to go back 200 million years ago. Around 200 million years ago, the lands on Earth started to split apart, separated by oceans. So if you look at Africa and South America, for example, you'll notice that they fit together almost like a perfect puzzle. And that's because they are a perfect puzzle. They once belonged to part of the same landmass. And what we had were plants that developed independent of other land regions. So you have things like orange, which developed in the Asia region independently. You have things like what we call cherries in Nigeria, but they are African star apple, I believe is the Googleable name, which was native to Africa, or kola nut, which is native to Africa. In the same way, you have trees like the cocoa tree, which developed in the northern part of South America. It's important to note that cocoa is not native to Africa, it's not native to Asia, it's not native to North America. It developed naturally and independently through natural plant evolution around 5 million years ago in the northern South American region. So present-day Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, that's Amazon area. Around 15,000 years ago, it's believed that the first humans started living in the South American area. Based on archaeological evidence, we do know that the Mayo Chichibe people, which is in the present-day Ecuador area, they were the first people that we know of that they were actually consuming cocoa. We don't know how they were preparing it, but we do definitely know that they were consuming cocoa. It's possible other communities and other humans in the 10,000 years before them were also consuming cocoa. We've just not found concrete proof of that. And around 3,900 years ago, we also have evidence that the Mukaya people in present day southern Mexico, Guatemala area. They were also processing and consuming cocoa. We understand that it was through trade and human migration and human interaction that cocoa was introduced to this area. And shortly after that, around 3,500 years ago, the Olmecs were the first known to actually consume cocoa based on what we understand it to be today. So fermenting the seeds, roasting cocoa, consuming it as a drink. And with the decline of the Olmec Empire and the rise of the Maya Empire, we have much stronger, more concrete evidence that the Maya Empire were definitely consuming cocoa and fermenting and roasting. And then with the decline of the Maya Empire and the rise of the Aztec Empire, we have very strong, conclusive evidence that they were definitely fermenting, roasting, and making drinks with cocoa. So people talk about the Olmecs as the oldest known empire to consume cocoa. That's partly true because the earliest known evidence we have is that the Olmecs were the first to actually roast cocoa seeds and make chocolates and consume it as a drink. But we do know that around 5,300 years ago, the first evidence of humans consuming cocoa were the Mayo Chichimbe people in South America. And it's very possible communities of humans were consuming cocoa earlier than that in South America. We just do not have concrete scientific evidence of that. So that's a little bit of the ancient history of cocoa. And in the next episode, I'll talk about the spread of cocoa around the world and its cultural significance. So thank you very much for listening and have a good day. Bye.